Here we have James O'Brien debating with a defender of Israel who's defending Israel over the killings of the aid workers. Uh, James O'Brien makes a lot of good points, while the caller just stumbles over his arguments.
Trevor.
Well, I start to fix, James. I agree with your initial comment that what happened yesterday was an absolute calamity. The fact that the aid organisation had given their coordinates to Israel and that they were still killed is indeed a tragedy. The larger issue.
Yeah, the IDF knew of the coordinates of these people, knew they were in a non-combative zone, knew that they just dropped off aid to a distribution site, and they still killed them.
Issue is that should it affect the war? My own view is that it shouldn't. Israel's in a particular state of situation where they're confronted by an enemy that to request demands its elimination. They don't want a two-state solution. They want a one-state solution.
Well, Netanyahu and much of his cabinet doesn't want a two-state solution either. So does that justify their elimination from the other side of this argument?
I think you have to look at the...
That's a good point. Bibi Netanyahu and many of the right-wing ministers are active and open about a one-state solution. So the fact that Hamas wants a one-state solution truly means nothing. If Bibi truly wanted a two-state solution, he would be helping the Palestinian Authority instead of helping Hamas get funds.
The history of...
Just answer the question, if you would.
Sorry, what was that?
Just answer. Well, you must know what the question was because you were just about to dismiss it.
I heard repeat the question, James.
Okay, so Benjamin Netanyahu and many members of his cabinet are on the record as opposing a two-state solution now. Does that somehow justify calls for their elimination as well?
The two things don't run together. The fact that they want...
Yes, they do.
It's funny how the same argument he's using to support the genocide in Gaza, he won't accept to any attacks on Israel since Israel also wants a one-state solution, and he's using that as a justification for Israel committing genocide.
You told me that the justification for the elimination of Hamas, regardless of what the collateral damage to innocent civilians might be, was built upon their refusal to accept a two-state solution.
That's completely absurd.
So that's what you said. So I'm wondering whether Benjamin Netanyahu and
James.
I'm repeating your own words back to you.
The reason there's a war. The war is not because they want.
Yeah, it's funny how he said the argument is absurd when James O'Brien is just using his argument. So he's saying that his own argument is absurd.
The one-state solution.
No, but the need to eliminate Hamas is because they reject a two-state solution. You just told me that.
They've launched a genocidal war on Israel. That is the reason there is a war, not because they have a view that they have a one-to-one state.
And you've just justified the elimination of everybody in Gaza in pursuit of Hamas.
It is not like October 7th is when it first started. The Israeli government has been murdering Palestinians long before October 7th.
How do you then convey the idea of wanting to demilitarize Hamas and remove them militarily?
Because you're here to justify the killing of civilians.
Who's justifying the killing of civilians?
Well,
who
justifies?
Where did I say that, James? Why are you inventing words?
Because you said that you want what's happening now to continue, and tens of thousands of civilians are already dead. Ergo, to call for what is happening now to continue, you're calling for the continuing killing of innocent civilians.
No,
this isn't complex.
I mean, yeah, that's true. He did say that the murder of the civilian aid workers shouldn't change how the government conducts their genocide.
Complicated, Trevor.
How many people have been killed in Gaza? 32,000?
That we know about.
That we know about.
Yeah, 34,000 plus innocent civilians have been killed by the Israeli government, and he still thinks the Israeli government should continue on the same path. So he is calling for the murders of more innocent civilians.
The United Nations number of civilians killed to combatants generally is recorded as 9 to 1. That's the UN figure. The number of civilians, the people who have been killed in total, is about
9 civilians for every one Hamas militant. That is a lot of innocent civilians to kill just to get one Hamas. It's, we could just round that up to 10 civilians for one Hamas member. Uh, that ratio is too extreme, and everybody wants to act like supposedly because Israel has a lower ratio of killing innocent civilians to Hamas militants makes that their genocide is okay, but it's not. The fact that they're killing even one innocent civilian makes their genocide not okay.
About 32,000. If you accept
that we know
Israel's
about.
figure, no, James, if you accept Israel's figures of say 13 to 14,000 combatants,
Why would
that
I
gives a
accept
ratio
those
of
figures?
2.2. That is well below
Why would I
what the
accept
United
those figures?
Nations have as a figure.
Why would I accept those figures?
Like, so many Israeli defenders want to make it seem like the fact that, there are innocent people killed is like because in war, the casualty figures are supposedly higher, but that doesn't justify the Israeli government killing innocent kids. But these Israeli defenders don't care if kids are killed. All they want to see is more Palestinians murdered.
But you'd rather accept Hamas's figures rather than United Nations figures.
You're talking about
saying?
Israel's
You'd rather
figures.
Hamas's figures are more credible than United Nations?
I think that Human Rights Watch has detailed the measures that the Palestinian Health Authority takes to record casualties and deaths with reference to mortuaries and hospitals, and explained that by publishing biographical details and names, they have a more reliable record than many other comparable conflict zones, whereas you think you should trust what the Israeli Defense Force tells us while refusing to allow foreign journalists into that territory. Just talk me through that.
Well, I'd accept the United Nations. Well, the fact that all these figures are going to have to be.
Okay, he just said he accepted United Nations. So the United Nations are saying that, thousands upon thousands of people have been killed by IDF compared to what, uh, basically a handful of Hamas militants. That is extreme.
Verified at some time later.
So why are you telling me to
accept all
trust one
figures
and
or no
not? Why are you
figures?
telling me to trust one and not another then, Trevor?
Because the United Nations, the 32,000 figure comes from Hamas. You're quite prepared to
comes from the
accept that without
Palestinian Health
verification.
Authority, which the Human Rights Watch have provided objective analysis of. Who provides objective analysis of what the Israeli Defense Force tells you?
Or Hamas. So if you
The Israeli government is what confirms what the IDF says because they all work together.
going to put
No,
one
you
on
can't.
trial,
You
put
can't
both
keep
on
doing
trial.
this. I've told you what Human Rights Watch say about the measures that the Palestinian Health Authority deploy to list their death toll. Who provides objective external scrutiny of the numbers that the Israeli Defense Force provides?
Well, you either accept
You're
Israel's
going to
figures
have
or you
to
don't.
answer the question at some point. Who provides objective international scrutiny of the numbers that you have come on the show to tell me I should
I would
trust?
like to suggest to you.
I'm going to ask you again until you answer the question, because we both know the answer. We both know the answer.
No, we don't know the answer. No, we don't, James.
Well, I'll
Israel
tell you
is-
then, Trevor.
It's just so funny how when you actually question Israeli defenders on Israel and what they believe and stuff, they honestly can't give you any answers besides screaming Hamas and that Israel has the right to self-defense.
Nobody.
No, you have. Well, either you accept or non-accept that Israel's figures are as close as verifiable as possible. Either you can denounce them because it's Israel.
But I've just
which you
told
seem prepared to
I've just
do.
told you that Human Rights Watch are the body to whom I turn for guidance on this matter. Who's the body to whom you turn for guidance on whether the IDF's figures are reliable?
Well, the United Nations Human Rights Watch is an organisation that has vilified Israel in the past. Has
Okay,
been
so
quite
they're
inimical to
biased as
Israel.
well.
And so I would
So
always say.
Okay, that doesn't matter. I mean, when your government is consistently violating international law, you're going to be questioned and criticized about it. If you don't want to be criticized about breaking international law, don't break international law, and you won't be vilified as a villain.
Then we come back to this question. Why won't they allow foreign correspondents into the territory?
I've no idea. You'll have to ask them.
Let's think it through together.
I mean, it's obvious why the Israeli government doesn't want foreign media reporting on what they're doing, because that will show the world what the Israeli government is actually doing. instead of their propaganda pieces that the Israeli government loves to put out, trying to make themselves seem like they're the good guys while murdering babies.
Shall we? Because here we are arguing about the
Why is that important
facts.
to you? Why is that important to you, having all having
Well, because
Israel
I
allow
believe in
foreign journalists
objective.
there?
I believe in objective external scrutiny.
Yeah, why is it important for you to have foreign media reporting on the war crimes of the Israeli government? Wow, a good question. Why is that important? Because objective, non-objective reporters will be able to report accurately on what's going on and not be on one side or the other.
And I'm intrigued as to why you think Israel rejects it at every turn.
I think there are more important issues at the moment.
Yeah, but you've rung in to talk about these issues, so you'll indulge me. You'll indulge me then, Trevor. Why would Israel refuse access to foreign journalists when people like you are so keen to have objective facts established by trustworthy outside sources?
Well, there are journalists there. There are Palestinian journalists there. Do you not accept
so we
that?
come back to the question. No, you've told me that I can't trust Palestinian figures.
There are journalists there.
Yes, why won't Israel allow foreign correspondents in? Why won't they allow Katya Adler in or Matt Fry? Why won't they allow Christiane Amanpour in? Why won't they allow people that have visited and reported on every other war zone in the world? And you're going to have to answer one of my questions.
My answer to you is, have you posed that question to them? Have you posed?
Wow, his argument against why doesn't the Israeli government allow foreign media to do reporting is, well, have you asked the Israeli government don't allow foreign media to report on their war crimes? Wow, I mean, this defender of Israel is truly pathetic.
Pose that question. Has the LBC posed that question? What's the answer they've given?
Pose that question to whom?
Have you posed the question to the Israeli authorities why they won't allow LBC, BBC, Sky, why they won't allow them? Have you posed that question?
I will when I get the opportunity to ask them, but right now I'm asking.
Sure it's been posed.
Right now I'm asking you.
Well, I think it's
and you're the answer to the question, Trevor. This is what you don't realise.
See,
you are the answer to the question, because if
this is typical of like Israeli defenders, they try to argue how the Israeli government is right in doing whatever it's doing. Question them, they have no real answer.
They allowed foreign correspondents in to provide independent verification, to provide international scrutiny, to report objectively, you wouldn't be able to ring this program and say the things that you've just said.
James, you know what? If there were journalists involved, what they would find is that arms in maternity wards,
you see,
guns in pillowcases.
Yes, so then why wouldn't they? You've done it.
Right. Supposedly there are arms in maternity wards and guns in pillowcases. That's something that the Israeli government has many times, yet they're unable to prove how these hospitals are headquarters for Hamas. They will take videos of these hospitals and show that it's just a hospital.
You've proved my point even more powerfully. So everything, all of the journalists would discover things that completely support your position. So you must be furious that they're not allowed in.
No, because I trust the Israeli military authorities to make judgments that are right.
They've just killed three British aid workers. The people.
He's saying that he doesn't care that the Israeli government is denying foreign reporters from being able to report on what's going on because he trusts the Israeli government on what they say. Talk about, cult mentality.
People you trust to make judgments have just killed 3 British aid workers. Before you go, you remember when they shot 3 hostages who were wearing their underpants?
The Israeli hostages?
Yeah, the ones waving the white flags, wearing their underpants, who'd escaped. How's that? What's the latest on that investigation? From the people that you trust?
I mean, it's not like he cares that the Israeli government kills their own citizens, which the Israeli government has no issue with killing Israeli hostages. Just research the Hannibal Directive that the Israeli government has. It allows the IDF to murder hostages if that means they can remove a bargaining chip from their enemy. So that just shows that the Israeli government doesn't even care about their own citizens.
James, we're in the middle of a war. The fact that every single awful incident, like yesterday...
Are you going to answer one question that I've asked you, Trevor?
I've no idea if they've... I'm sure...
These are the people that you trust. I'm looking for the grounds. What's the latest on that investigation? Because you're trusting them to conduct this investigation. What's the latest on the shooting of 3 Israeli hostages by the Israeli Defense Force wearing their under...
I can tell you what the conclusion of the investigation was. The IDF were considered justified in considering the Israeli hostages as a threat and murdering them. And you got many Israeli defenders that find it okay that the Israeli government kills their own citizens.
Underpants and wearing their underpants and waving white flags. The hostages that we're told, and you believe, that countless civilians have to die to secure the release of.
Why do you put words in people's... What do we have to... Where has anyone mentioned...
Yeah, and the fact that the Israeli government will kill their own citizens, hostages, shows that this isn't a war over trying to rescue the hostages. This is just the Israeli government making a justification to murder as many Palestinians as possible. Because if they truly cared about rescuing the hostages, they wouldn't be killing them. And these 3 aren't the first, aren't the last of the 3 to be killed by the Israeli government. You had several hostages killed in an Israeli airstrike when the Israeli government knew that hostages were in that building, and the flooding of tunnels when the Israeli government knew that some of these tunnels that they're flooding had hostages in them. They don't care about the hostages or their own citizens. All they want to do is justify a genocide.
You're so polluted by your own and corrupted by your own language.
Here we go.
You put words into my mouth that I never said.
You said that the war has to continue.
The war absolutely continue because they're...
And how many civilians have died so far? So that means the killing of civilians has to continue. I can't explain your own thoughts to you, Trevor. You have to take responsibility at least for them.
And I'm very happy to do that. But
it is pretty funny how the defenders of Israel don't know what to say when they're actually arguing against somebody who is against the Israeli government. They expect everybody to automatically believe what they say as fact and accept it, and when people don't, they just don't know what to do.
Except you're not, are you? Because you don't want independent journalists in the region. You don't want anybody to believe the figures that are provided by anybody other than the Israeli Defense Force, who you claim you trust completely, while you can't even tell me the state of the investigation into their shooting of the hostages that you claim the release of is the justification for the entire conflict in Gaza in the first place.
Why does the UK government...
Yeah, you'd think if the Israeli government truly wanted to rescue these people, they wouldn't be killing their own hostages, because the IDF said that the members who killed the 3 Israeli hostages were justified in killing them because they consider them a threat. That just goes to show that the Israeli government doesn't care about their hostages.
Support Israel in its war aims. Why do they do that,
say that again?
Why did your government support Israel in its war aims at the moment? Why do they do that, James?
That's a brilliant question.
What do you think, James? Give me your own independent objective view of why England, the British government, is supporting Israel in its aims of destroying Hamas. Why do you think that is?
Well, they're not, are they?
No,
they're not supporting. They've called. They have absolutely laid down a red line on Rafah. They've made it absolutely clear that they don't support war crimes. They've made it absolutely clear that they don't support a ground offensive. That they don't support a ground offensive in Rafah, and they've made it absolutely clear that the unnecessary killing of civilians is something that can't be countenanced. Israel riding.
Yeah, the Supreme Court wants to. The Supreme Court has ruled that the UK is violating laws by harming the Israeli government. Many of the Israeli allies are turning against Israel for the killing of the aid workers, and there is nothing that the Israeli government can do to change that fact. I mean, it's like the Australian Prime Minister who is seeking an investigative probe on the killings of the aid workers, and they're going to seek justice for the aid workers, and they're looking to punish the people that actually killed them. There is nothing the Israeli government can do. There is no lie that they can say to change this.
Roughshod over all of that. Absolutely. Again, you make a brilliant point. Benjamin Netanyahu has made the British government look both ridiculous and weak.
I think the British government.
Yeah, the governments that still support the Israeli government has been shown to be supporters of genocide, and they have made themselves look like fools to the international community for continuing to support the Israeli government, even though 153 plus nations are against what the Israeli government is doing.
Government has
Hang
been
on, you're
strong.
asking me what I thought.
Okay.
So I'm answering your question. Benjamin Netanyahu has made the British government look ridiculous and weak, just as he has made you look ridiculous and weak.
Well,
and also profoundly wrong.
You can be personal, wish you reject my view.
But hang on, you just talked to me about pollution. You got personal first, Trevor. I'm only me.
Though it's funny how many like Israeli defenders like hang on like foot and nail to what Bibi and believes that like everything he says is like fact. That shows true cult mentality.
Meeting you on your own battlefield.
Opinion. No, I haven't. I haven't defined your opinion or anything like that. But the British government.
So we'll return to what to me is the killer question, the most crucial question of all.
What is that?
And that is, why won't they let journalists in?
Perhaps it's too dangerous to have
the journalists. What the journalists make that decision?
Wow, it's too dangerous for foreign journalists to do reporting, but it's not too dangerous for Israeli reporters to do reporting. Why is that? Is that because the Israeli government won't murder foreign reporters and not murder Israeli reporters?
Journalists made that decision. No, but it's for the military authority to decide whether it's prudent, given their military operations.
And then 2 minutes ago, you were reminding me that there are Palestinian journalists there.
Yes, there are. There are.
And he's trying to say it's prudent that it's up to the Israeli government to decide if those reporters are dangerous or not. Like, wow. So he's just trying to justify the Israeli government killing foreign reporters.
Yeah, so why won't they let foreign correspondents who are absolutely chomping at the bit to get into Gaza get into Gaza?
Well, I don't know. I don't understand.
You're not going to answer it. You know that. I know that.
No.
We know what the answer is. We know that it's because Israel cannot countenance what would actually be reported.
What, hiding arms in maternity wards?
No, because they can't let journalists in, because if they did, you wouldn't be able to come on the radio.
Oh no, there was arms in maternity wards, like something that the Israeli government has never been able to prove. And why don't people in Gaza have the right to self-defense against Hamas and stuff? I mean, there are tons and tons of people that are against Hamas, and they should also have the right to self-defense. But it's Israeli defenders always want to act like Palestinians don't have the right to own arms, and if they own arms, that's justification for the IDF to murder them. That is stupid and insane to claim that Palestinians don't have the right to self-defense.
And tell lies like that.
A lie of finding arms and finding munitions in a maternity ward. Is that a lie?
Well,
yeah, it's a lie because the IDF has been unable to prove that. They continually show the insides of hospitals, are unable to prove that these hospitals are headquarters for Hamas. All they do is show empty rooms and stuff, maybe some food and stuff left behind, and claim that that's evidence of Hamas being there. Every evidence that the Israeli government has shown has been weak and easily disproven.
You tell me the journalists that have reported that.
No, you've just bold-faced said it was a lie. So obviously you have evidence.
You tell me the journalists that have reported that. You tell me the journalists that have reported that. Or have you taken that from the same people that killed the 3 British aid workers yesterday?
I take that from the video evidence of the army who have gone in.
Say that again.
Dude, it's wild how many citizens that are allied with Israel don't even care that Israel is killing citizens. They don't care that even if they went to Israel, that they would be killed by an IDF member or the Israeli government. It is wild. Like, you would think these people would care about citizens of their own nation being killed, but they don't care whatsoever. All they care about is Israel. And that's like true Zionist cultism right there, where the only thing they care about is Israel.
Say that again more slowly. The video evidence that who?
The video evidence from the Israeli army, from lady soldiers.
So there we are. And that's the answer to your question. They can't let journalists in because then people like you wouldn't be able to take videos filmed by the actual soldiers killing the civilians as truth, would you?
Well, from your position, James, anything Israel says is obviously always going to be wrong.
Which is why you need independent journalists in there. Which is why you need independent journalists in there, Trevor. You see it now.
Yeah, if you wanted more people to go along with what Israel is saying, they would allow independent journalists and show that what the Israeli government doing is justified. But since that doesn't happen because what the Israeli government is doing isn't justified, they either kill journalists coming in to Gaza or they just ban them from being able to enter. That shows that the Israeli government is committing a bunch of war crimes that they don't want the world to see and only want the world to see what the propaganda that they want to put out, which is that whatever the Israeli government does is just.
Finally.
So you're accepting Hamas's figure, which
no,
you're saying is...
I'm accepting a Human Rights Watch's analysis of how the Palestinian Health Authority assembles its figures.
No,
and you are...
And this is also a problem with a lot of Israeli defenders. Like, no matter what facts you give about the Israeli government and what they're doing, they actually scream and claim you're supporting Hamas. Even if you say you don't support Hamas, the fact that you don't support Israel and their genocide means you're an enemy to them.
Reminding everybody listening why journalists aren't allowed in by Israel. Because you wouldn't then be required to rely on footage filmed by the actual soldiers killing the actual civilians, Trevor. But here you are, live on the radio, saying it out loud.